No one was what they called her. Not because she chose it, but because no one remembered the name she was given at birth. In the kingdom of forgotten names, this was common. Names slipped away like water through fingers. Parents whispered them to babies, but by dawn, they dissolved from memory. Even the elders who tried to keep records found their books turning blank. The nameless lived quietly. They worked, they ate, they grew, but without names, they felt like shadows of themselves. And because no one could call another truly, bonds between people were fragile. But no one was different. She felt the loss like a wound. Whenever she tried to speak her name, her lips froze, and silence filled her chest. Yet inside, a yearning burned, an ache to be someone. Her only treasure was a lantern left by her grandmother. Its glass shimmered strangely, and when lit, the flame flickered with shapes like letters. Her grandmother had told her, long ago before her memory faded completely. As long as this flame burns, there is hope. Seek the keeper of names. They dwell where the river of whispers meets the forgotten tower. No one clung to those words. And on the morning the mist hung heaviest, she decided, she would leave her village. She would find the keeper. She would find her name. But the path to memory was guarded by shadows, creatures that thrived on forgetfulness. As she stepped into the gray woods, the first of them stirred. The gray woods thickened as no one pressed forward. The lantern in her hand glowed steady, but the shadows that followed her were restless. They slithered among the trees, stretching long arms that reached for her light, only to recoil with hiss-like sighs whenever the golden flame flared. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. The keeper dwells where the river of whispers meets the forgotten tower. But the forest stretched endlessly, its paths looping back upon themselves, as if meant to trap wanderers. It was then that no one heard it, a faint sound beneath the sighing wind. At first, it was like water trickling. Then, it grew into many voices whispering at once, hushed but endless, like 1,000 people trying to speak secrets without ever saying them aloud. She followed the sound until she emerged at the edge of a river. Its waters gleamed like silver in the mist, but when she bent closer, she saw that the river was not truly water at all. Instead, it flowed with letters and words, names written in countless tongues, drifting like glowing leaves downstream. Some shone brightly, others flickered weakly, and many faded as they dissolved into nothing. This was the river of whispers. No one knelt, gazing into its current. As the words drifted past, she felt them brush against her ears, like forgotten stories trying to speak again. She heard faint calls, Mira, Alaric, Yen, names lost, carried away by the current of forgetfulness. Her heart tightened. She longed to see her own name, but the river only whispered others, each vanishing as quickly as they came. From across the river, something stirred. A figure cloaked in black mist stood on the opposite bank. Its face was blank, without features, but from it came a voice both hollow and sharp. Names or burdens? Why do you seek yours, child? No one lifted her lantern higher. Because a name is who I am. The figure tilted its head. Foolish. Without names, you are free. You are nothing. Nothing cannot be hurt, cannot be remembered, cannot die. But no one shook her head, her grip on the lantern steady. I would rather be someone who can be remembered, than nothing at all. The figure hissed, and the mist about it thickened. From the river rose hands made of shadows, grasping for her ankles. No one stumbled back, but the lantern flared. Its golden flame leapt into the river, and for a moment, words brightened, thousands of names glowing like stars. The shadow figure screeched, recoiling into the mist. The river calmed, though whispers still flowed endlessly. On the far side, faintly lit by the river's glow, a narrow bridge appeared. It was made of fragile glass like letters strung together, swaying as though it could vanish at any moment. No one knew what it meant. The river was offering her a path. And with one deep breath, clutching her lantern close, she stepped onto the bridge of words, beginning her crossing into the unknown. The bridge of letters trembled beneath no one's feet. Each step she took made the words shimmer and rearrange themselves, as if the river were testing her resolve. She held the lantern close, its flame steady, guiding her across the swirling current of names. When she reached the far side, the bridge dissolved into mist behind her, leaving no way back. Ahead stretched a forest unlike any she had seen before. The trees were tall and silver-barked, their branches curling like spirals of ink. Instead of leaves, their boughs were draped with ribbons of faint light, glowing softly in the dimness. The air hummed, and with every step, no one heard voices echoing around her, not whispers this time, but clearer, sharper, as though the forest itself were speaking. At first, she thought they were strangers' voices. But then she froze. It was her grandmother's voice. Child of the lantern, child of the light. No one's breath caught. She spun around, searching for the familiar figure, but there was only the endless forest. Then came another voice, her own, but faint and trembling, as if spoken by someone else. No one, you are nothing. The forest was not ordinary. It was the forest of echoes, where forgotten voices lived on. As she walked deeper, the echoes grew stronger. She heard laughter she barely remembered, songs from villagers long silenced, and cries of names that had once belonged to people now faceless. Some echoes tried to comfort, others tried to confuse. Come back, child. Turn away before it's too late. You are nothing. You will always be nothing. Her heart quivered, but the lantern glowed brighter, as though sensing her fear. Still, the echoes pressed closer, forming shapes between the trees, silhouettes of people she once knew but could no longer recall clearly. A woman's figure stepped from the mist, arms outstretched. It had her grandmother's smile but not her eyes. Give me the lantern, child, the echo whispered. You don't need a name. Stay with us, in the safety of forgetting. No one trembled. Part of her longed to fall into those arms, to rest, to stop the endless ache of not belonging. But the flame in her lantern flickered furiously, as if warning her. She clutched it tighter. You are not my grandmother. You are only an echo. The figure's smile twisted into a snarl, and its form dissolved into mist. All around her, the forest howled with distorted laughter, voices overlapping until they became unbearable. No one closed her eyes, lifted her lantern high, and whispered fiercely. I may be no one now, but I will not remain forgotten. The flame leapt, golden light rushing outward in a great pulse. The echoes shrieked and scattered, fleeing into the trees. For the first time, the forest fell silent. When she opened her eyes, a path of silver bark and glowing ribbons stretched clear before her. Somewhere beyond this forest, her journey would continue, toward the forgotten tower, where the keeper awaited. But the forest of echoes had left her shaken. She realized something. The greatest danger was not the shadows, not the river, not even the namelessness itself. The greatest danger was believing the echoes of doubt. And she vowed she would not. The silver path led no one out of the forest of echoes. Though shaken, she walked with her lantern close to her chest, its warmth steadying her heartbeat. The silence after the echoes was almost too quiet, as though the world held its breath. Soon the path narrowed into a canyon of stone. The walls rose high on either side, jagged and blackened as though scorched by fire. No light touched this place, except the flame of her lantern, which glimmered bravely in the suffocating dark. She felt the air change. Cold, heavy, waiting. At the canyon's end stood a gate of iron, enormous and cruel. Its bars twisted like claws, and behind them stretched endless darkness. As she drew closer, the lantern's flame flickered uncertainly. Something lived beyond the gate. From the shadows emerged a figure tall as the canyon walls themselves. Its body was made of smoke and night, shifting in and out of form, but its eyes burned with silver fire. Its voice was like stone grinding against stone. I am the keeper of shadows. None pass into the tower of the forgotten unless they surrender their light. No one tightened her grip on the lantern. This flame is mine. It is all I have. The keeper leaned down, silver fire searing the ground where it stared at her. You do not understand, child. Light draws the shadows. Without it, you may pass unseen. With it, you will be devoured. The words carried weight, heavy enough to plant doubt in her heart. Could she truly face the tower with only a fragile flame? Wouldn't it be safer to let it go? But then she remembered the forest of echoes, the voices trying to drown her in despair. She remembered the river, where shadows whispered that being, nothing, was freedom. And she answered, softly but firmly, if the shadows come for me, then let them come. I will not let my flame die. The keeper's eyes narrowed. Its massive hand of smoke reached for her, curling around the air like a cage. Shadows poured across the ground, twisting toward her feet. No one lifted her lantern high, its golden glow spilling out in defiance. You are not my master. My light is not yours to take. The flame leapt, brighter than ever. It struck the keeper's smoke flesh, and the darkness recoiled, writhing with a roar that shook the canyon walls. The gate of iron groaned and shivered. The keeper staggered, silver fire in its eyes dimming. At last, it drew back, its voice no longer thunderous but quiet, almost reverent. You will not surrender. It bowed its towering form until its face was level with hers. Then pass, flame bearer. For only those who keep their light against the shadow may hope to reach the keeper of names. With a sweep of its smoky hand, the iron gate dissolved into mist. Beyond lay the dark horizon of the forgotten tower, its spire barely visible through the haze. No one stepped forward, heart racing, but her flame steady. She had faced the keeper of shadows, and she had not bowed. The path beyond the keeper stretched long and winding, through a land where even the earth seemed weary. Grass grew pale and brittle, the air smelled faintly of ashes, and the horizon was swallowed by haze. Yet above all, rising like a broken spear into the clouds, stood the forgotten tower. Its stones were black as ink, its windows blank and unlit. Parts of it crumbled, yet it never fell, held together, it seemed, not by mortar, but by memory itself. No one's heart tightened as she approached. The lantern in her hand quivered faintly, its flame sensing what lay ahead. At last, she stood before the tower's base, an enormous wall with no single entrance, but hundreds of doors stacked and scattered across its surface. Some were small as cupboards, others tall as castle gates. Many were crooked or half broken. Some floated without hinges, others were locked tight with chains of rust. This was no ordinary doorway. This was a labyrinth of forgotten doors, each one leading somewhere, or nowhere at all. As no one gazed up, the doors began to stir. Handles rattled, hinges creaked, and voices seeped through, murmuring, sighing, calling. Come inside, child. This way is yours. Open me, and you will find your name. Her pulse quickened. Every voice sounded tempting, every door looked possible. But she remembered the warnings. This kingdom thrived on deception, on leading the nameless astray. She lifted her lantern. The golden flame flickered, and to her surprise, only one door glowed faintly in its light. It was plain, an old wooden door at the lowest level, worn and cracked, almost invisible among the others. The flame leaned toward it, as if pulled by a hidden wind. No one stepped closer, but before she could reach the handle, other doors burst open. Figures poured out, echoes wearing scraps of names, fragments of identity. They stretched out their hands, offering pieces of parchment, crowns, trinkets, all scrawled with letters. Take this name, one figure whispered, thrusting a golden medallion toward her. You don't need to search, here is your worth. Another held a parchment glowing with letters. This is your destiny, don't waste time, choose. The crowd of echoes thickened, their voices rising, their false names shimmering. The temptation was sharp, they looked so real, so immediate, so easy. But the lantern's flame flickered violently, warning her. The medallions and parchments crumbled to ash whenever its glow touched them. No, no one whispered, clutching the lantern to her chest. I will not take what is false. She pushed through the crowd, step by step, until she reached the plain wooden door. The voices behind her screamed, twisted, and shattered into silence as the lantern's flame bathed the door in golden light. With trembling hands, she pushed it open. Inside lay a narrow spiral staircase, winding upward into endless darkness. She lifted her lantern, and the flame climbed with her, casting light against the ancient stones. The tower had accepted her. She had chosen the honest path, though it was plain and unadorned. For only those who refused false names could hope to find their true one. Her journey was far from over, but she had stepped into the very heart of the kingdom of forgotten names. The wooden door closed behind no one with a deep, echoing thud. For a moment, she thought she had been sealed inside forever, but when she raised her lantern, a narrow stone stairwell revealed itself, spiraling upward into the tower's core. The air was heavy, filled with the faint smell of dust and ink, as though countless forgotten stories lingered here. The walls were lined with carvings, not pictures, but letters and words scratched into stone. Some were whole, others broken mid-stroke, dissolving into unreadable marks. As no one placed her foot on the first step, the tower shuddered. A whisper rose from the stones, low and mournful. "Why did you forget us? Why did you let us fade?" She froze, lantern trembling in her hand. The voices were not from outside, they came from the stairs themselves. Each stone seemed to speak with the memory of a name lost. With each step upward, the voices multiplied. "I was Alan. They once called me Sorel. Do you remember me? Do you remember me?" The stairwell filled with overlapping cries, a storm of forgotten lives. Faces began to appear in the stone walls, faint outlines pressing from beneath the surface, their mouths open in endless questions, their eyes hollow and pleading. No one clutched the lantern close. She felt the weight of their longing, the ache of being forgotten. It nearly crushed her, pressing down on her shoulders like chains. "You must keep climbing," she whispered to herself. But the voices grew more insistent. "Stay here. Speak our names. Give us life again. Do not go higher. Do not seek your own, give us back ours." The stairwell grew darker as shadows slithered across the steps, twisting into forms that blocked her path. They were not like the keeper of shadows, nor the echoes in the forest. These were fragments of memory, torn pieces of lives, desperate and broken. A shadow figure stretched across the stairs, its form ragged, its voice 1,000 overlapping names. "If you pass us, you abandon us forever." No one's heart twisted. She wanted to help them, to bring them back, but she knew she could not. To take on all their names would mean losing her own forever. Her lantern flickered, and she remembered what her grandmother had said: "A name is not only for you, it is the seed from which hope grows for others." She realized then, the only way to honor the forgotten was to claim her true name and keep it alive. So she raised the lantern high. "I cannot carry you all. But I will carry myself, and in doing so, I will not let the world forget again." The golden flame surged, pouring light into the stairwell. The shadowy forms shrieked and dissolved into mist. The faces in the walls faded back into silence, but not before one soft voice whispered, "Then go, child, find your name, and remember." The stairwell stilled. No one climbed higher, the golden flame steady once more. And though the voices were gone, she carried their sorrow within her heart. The stairwell narrowed until at last it ended in a tall archway. No one paused, lantern close, her breath sharp in her chest. The arch was carved with curling letters, most faded into nonsense, but one word burned faintly in gold. Self. She stepped through. The room beyond was vast and circular, its ceiling lost in shadows. The walls were lined from floor to height with towering mirrors, endless and unbroken. At first, no one saw only her own reflection, small, lantern raised, her face pale but determined. But as she walked deeper into the chamber, the mirrors began to change. Her reflections no longer moved with her. One smiled when she did not. Another frowned. A third looked older, wiser, clad in a crown and cloak as though she had grown into a queen. Another still was small again, a child clutching her grandmother's hand. She gasped. Each mirror showed a different self, a different possibility. Then, the reflections began to speak. "You are destined to be a ruler. No, you are nothing, and always will be. You belong in the forest. Stay nameless, stay free. You are too weak to go further. You have already succeeded. Stop searching." Their voices overlapped, tugging her in every direction. No one stumbled, clutching her lantern. Her chest tightened, fear rising. Which one was true? Was she the queen, the child, the wanderer, the nothing? Her flame dimmed as doubt closed in. One reflection stepped forward from its mirror, pulling itself free of the glass. It wore her face but glowed with confidence, crowned and strong. "You seek a name. Take mine. Take the path of glory. Rule over the kingdom, and be remembered forever." Another reflection tore free as well, this one ragged, hollow-eyed. "You seek a name. Why? It will bring only pain. Return to namelessness. Forget yourself. One by one, the mirrors spilled themselves into the chamber. Dozens of no ones surrounded her, each insisting theirs was the true fate. She sank to her knees, hands shaking. If she chose wrong, she would be lost forever. The lantern flickered, its flame weak. For the first time, she feared it might die. But then, she remembered. The forest of echoes, the river of whispers, the stairwell of lost voices. Each test had tried to drown her in doubt. And yet she had stood, not because of what others said, but because she believed she had worth. She rose to her feet. You are not me. None of you are me. You are only what I might be, what I fear, what I hope, what I dream. But only I can decide who I truly am. The lantern blazed. Its golden light filled the chamber, striking every mirror. Glass cracked, splintered, and shattered, reflections screaming as they broke into shards of mist. When the brilliance faded, only one mirror remained whole. In it, she saw herself exactly as she was. Tired, trembling, but still standing, lantern in hand, refusing to give up. She stepped forward. Her reflection smiled, not an illusion, but a quiet affirmation. And for the first time, no one smiled back. The chamber's walls groaned. A hidden door opened, revealing a staircase of polished stone leading higher into the tower. She walked on, her flame steady once more. The polished stairwell seemed endless, but at last, no one reached its summit. A tall iron door, etched with 1,000 faint letters, stood before her. Unlike the other doors in the tower, this one was whole, heavy with a presence she could feel even before touching it. She lifted her lantern. The flame pressed against the iron as though urging her forward. With both hands, she pushed, and the door swung open with a groan that shook the tower. Inside was a vast chamber, round as the chamber of mirrors, but here there were no reflections. Instead, shelves of crystal towers rose in every direction, stretching higher than sight. Within each crystal floated a faintly glowing word, names. Some shone like stars, others flickered weakly, many dimmed as if close to vanishing. At the center of this infinite library stood a figure cloaked in pale robes, face hidden behind a silver mask. They held a staff tipped with a shard of glass that glowed faintly with shifting letters. Their voice was calm, neither male nor female, yet echoing with both. I am the keeper of names. You have come far, flame bearer. No one stepped closer, awe and fear mingling in her chest. Are these all the names that were forgotten? The keeper inclined their masked head. All who were once remembered, all who are now shadows. This is the memory of the world. Her lantern flickered, flame reaching toward the crystal towers. Then, do you have mine? The keeper's silver mask tilted slightly. Perhaps. But before I can return it, you must answer. Why do you seek your name? The question struck her like a weight. She opened her mouth, closed it, thought of all she had endured. The river had told her names were burdens. The forest had tried to drown her in echoes. The shadows had tempted her to surrender her light. The mirrors had nearly broken her with illusions of who she might be. She clenched her fists, voice trembling but steady. Because without my name, I am nothing but silence. A name is more than a word, it is memory, belonging, and the proof that I am real. If I find it, then even when I am gone, I will not be forgotten. For a long moment, the keeper was silent. Then, the chamber itself seemed to breathe as the crystal towers glowed faintly brighter. You have answered truthfully, the keeper said. But be warned, a name is not merely given, it is claimed. And the path to yours will test you once more. They raised their staff. The crystal shard atop it flared, and from the shelves above, one crystal descended. Within it glimmered a faint word, fragile and flickering. The keeper's masked gaze turned to her. This is your name, but it cannot yet be spoken. To claim it, you must give what all names demand, sacrifice. Are you willing? No one's heart raced. She did not yet know what the keeper meant, but she nodded. Yes. The keeper lowered the staff. The crystal floated into her hands, warm and trembling, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then go, the keeper said. Beyond this chamber lies the final trial. Only by facing it will your name be restored. The iron door behind her sealed shut. A new doorway opened ahead, carved not from stone but from light itself. Lantern in one hand, the fragile crystal in the other, no one stepped through. She did not know what awaited her, but she knew her true name was near. The doorway of light carried no one into a chamber unlike any she had seen. It was vast and empty, stretching wider than a kingdom square, yet its walls and ceiling were invisible, swallowed in pale radiance. The air was still, heavy with an unspoken truth. At the center stood an altar of white stone, smooth and unadorned. Upon it burned a flame of silver, colder than moonlight, surrounded by letters that hovered and turned in the air like living fireflies. Her lantern glowed faintly, the golden flame inside flickering in unease. The crystal she carried pulsed harder, its light fighting against the silver flame. From the emptiness, the keeper of names, voice echoed, not harsh, not cruel, but heavy with gravity. Every name requires a sacrifice. For to be remembered is to give something of yourself away. What will you surrender, child of the flame? No one's chest tightened. What must I give? The voice answered, calm as the tide, something that defines you. Something that weighs upon you. Something that will shape the truth of your name. Choose carefully, for what you give here will be gone forever. She trembled. Images flashed in her mind. The forest whispers, the shadows, temptation, the faces in the stairwell walls. What could she give? She had so little. The crystal in her hand throbbed, urging her to act. The silver flame flared, demanding tribute. No one closed her eyes. She thought of her grandmother, the one who had given her the lantern. She thought of the ache of being called no one. She thought of the sorrow of the forgotten faces in the walls. And then she knew. I will give my fear, she whispered. Her voice cracked, but she pressed on. All my life, I have feared being nothing. I have feared being forgotten. I have feared I am not enough. That fear has chained me. But I will carry it no longer. If I must sacrifice something, let it be my fear. She stepped toward the altar. Raising the lantern, she opened its glass. The golden flame within trembled violently, as though resisting, but then it surged, bright and brilliant, and leapt toward the silver fire. In that instant, no one felt her fear leaving her, unraveling like threads from her heart. She gasped, both terrified and relieved. The fear screamed as it was devoured by the flame, but once it was gone, a great weight lifted from her shoulders. The crystal in her hand flared, no longer fragile but strong, steady, shining with a golden glow that matched her lantern. The keeper's voice returned, soft but resonant. Only one who surrenders fear can carry the truth of their name without breaking. You have chosen well. The silver flame vanished. In its place, carved into the altar itself, was a single word, glowing in golden light. Her name. Tears filled her eyes. She reached for it, but the keeper's voice warned gently. Take it, and it will be yours forever. But once you claim it, your path will no longer be the same. The world will know you. You will belong. You will be remembered, and you will be responsible for the light you carry. No one nodded through her tears. I am ready. Her hand touched the letters, and golden brilliance flooded the hall. The words sank into her heart, filling her like fire and sunrise combined. She was no one no longer. The golden letters sank into her heart, and the hall dissolved into brilliance. For a moment, no one felt as though she were drifting in a sky of stars. And then, she remembered. The name. Her true name. It rang inside her like a bell, clear and steady, as though it had always been there, waiting to be spoken. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She whispered it aloud, and the sound filled the empty hall, echoed through the tower, raced down the stairwells and across the kingdom itself. The keeper of names, voice drifted faintly. Now you are no longer no one. You are yourself. Go, and let the world remember. The tower's walls cracked. Light burst from its stones, flooding outward in streams of golden flame. The spiral stairwells uncoiled, the mirrors shattered to dust, the shadows dissolved. The kingdom trembled as the ancient curse of forgetfulness began to break. Outside, in the villages and valleys, people froze as warmth filled their chests. For the first time in centuries, names returned to their lips. Mothers called their children and remembered what they were called. Lovers cried each other's names. The faceless shadows by the river turned back into people, whole and radiant. The kingdom of forgotten names became the kingdom of remembered ones. And at the heart of it, she stood at the tower's highest spire, lantern blazing. The letters of her name glowed about her like a crown, not of gold, but of light. She looked out across the kingdom, her voice steady, strong, carrying through the air like song. I am not no one. I am. And the world heard her. Her name echoed, woven into every corner of the land. With it came hope, belonging, and the promise that no one, no single soul, would ever again be allowed to fade into silence. The lantern's flame, once fragile, now burned as steady as the sun. And the girl who had been no one walked down from the tower, into a kingdom reborn, no longer nameless, but alive. Glowing star moral lesson. Your name is more than a word, it is the proof that you exist, that you are seen, that you are loved. To claim your true self means facing fear, doubt, and the temptation of false identities. But when you accept yourself fully and refuse to surrender your light, you not only find your own voice, you help restore the voices of others. The kingdom of forgotten names teaches us that identity is strength, memory is love, and no one is truly nothing when they choose to believe in their worth. Glowing star moral lesson. Your name is more than a word, it is the proof that you exist, that you are seen, that you are loved. To claim your true self means facing fear, doubt, and the temptation of false identities. But when you accept yourself fully and refuse to surrender your light, you not only find your own voice, you help restore the voices of others. The kingdom of forgotten names teaches us that identity is strength, memory is love, and no one is truly nothing when they choose to believe in their worth. For more motivation fairytale stories, please like, share and subscribe this channel. Thanks and God bless.